Hello again and welcome to All My Art and Soul. This is Michelle Holden, the artist behind the channel. And this week's video is a mixed media abstract in my journal, of course. I'm not calling it abstract journaling because it's more exploratory in the abstract layering process. And this week is about how I use black and white in multiple layers, and how it turned out. So stay tuned to the end, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my Facebook group. The links are all in the comments below. And let's get on with explaining my art process. So, been really liking the drawing up my frame and all of that because of the nice crisp edges. But as I've said in previous videos, I will be doing and creating art on other substrates. So the 12 by 12 wood paneling series is coming up. So I wanted stronger marks just because I wanted them to show through in different areas underneath the many layers that I was planning on intending, not planned out. So I just sort of laid out some collage that I knew that I was going to choose way later in the game, at least 5 layers after. And I thought, okay, I used the aluminum pipe in the last affirmation page, I believe, which was number 10. So I'm giving those a pause. And so I'm just going to be sharing my once a week video and tutorials for my Facebook group for now. And I have some other projects in the works. So as you can see, I sort of tightened the area and made it loose in the upper right hand corner. I think I'm going to experiment with other ways to do that. And I thought, wow, why don't I try the brayer? What would happen if I did this? And that's what I'm trying to remember to ask myself, because this is totally exploratory. And of course, I'm just drawing those out because they're rather thick, and I didn't want any more smudging. I wanted some more white on the paper. So then, since those are organic, I have some curving lines. I thought a difference would be rather a thick line, but straight edge, more geometric, and making those different as well with long and short and in different directions. And it turned out that I didn't intend this, but I noticed while I was doing it that in each quadrant, roughly, the lines were different, and I really liked how that turned out. It's just sort of, this is what happens when we show up for our art, and I'm showing up more for my own art process in order to improve and get to where I want to be. So, not wanting my black to smudge anymore, making sure it's nice and dry. It doesn't take very long, especially if you're rolling it with a brayer. And liking the real smudgy, more busier area compared to the real open area below. And I really love this. I don't know if this is supposed to be an O or what it is, but this really cool font stencil set. And the cardboard's pretty good. I'm hoping as each layer of paint goes on it and I keep it on there, it'll strengthen up. And I really wanted these strong, so I made sure my stenciling technique was dark enough. And so I'm just changing the direction in the upper left. And making sure I'm not seeing any of the white, going right to the edge, a nice clean edge. compared to the soft edges of those thick lines. So these are clear, clean edges, and those are soft, rougher edges. So I've been dyeing this sterling silver, you know, coasters that you get. I know I had more. I don't know where they went. Anyway, it's the only one I have left. I probably sold them in a garage sale. And then I thought, okay, so let's stick to this same round. And I know from memory, I like the texture of this foam. So I just brushed it on lightly. And I know that can make a real difference too. Just where to place it. Thinking of cropping the circle rather than having the whole thing in there. Going past those edges because it expands the piece. For the viewer, you know that there's more space beyond the edges of this page, painting, whatever it is you're working on. And the first black marks were a China marker, just in case I missed that. My materials I will list in the descriptions under the video, of course, and also my colors, which are simple: black, white, Naples yellow, and the elusive word parchment, which is just a natural, whatever brand you're using of paint. Of course, they're going to call it something different, but it does change. Titan Buff of Golden is a lot lighter, has less yellow in it. I'm sure it's raw umber and white and a couple of other things. So I have my little pile of intended collage papers, but as I'm going through this page, I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to disturb what was happening. And I'm really loving and slowly getting used to my color shapers. This is the titanium white transparent. So meaning, I guess, the pigment, there isn't as much pigment in it. And I'm loving how by altering the angle of the color shaper, you can leave an opaque layer. You can have soft edges, sharp edges, and I just wanted that effect. I just love this, especially, I don't really know at this stage which area is going to show through. So then I guess learning from this page, as I said, I learned a lot. Just picking different areas and having maybe similar layers, not the same, but similar number of layers, line. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have line, sort of an organic circle. We have a texture of just a very soft, it's not a clear circle, but it's sort of an oval. So it's predominantly circles and curves with thick, almost a rectangle shape. And the differences amongst those is direction and size. So this is really interesting. This is the negative. No, it's not. This is the positive. This is the positive of the stencil. And I had a feeling it would be very faint, but I wanted a subtle difference here. So I just sort of experimented, and you can't really see anything. So it would have had to have been black, a much stronger contrast. So keeping that in mind, and my little notes beside this page, so that's what I'll write down. I'm learning just to write down the key points as to what my intention was, what I learned, what worked, and of course what didn't work. But I don't focus on so much, maybe one or two things. If it's a major thing that didn't work, like the upper right-hand corner, there was many choices. And when we come to that part in the video, so stay to the end, I will explain my hindsight. Wonderful, right? But it helps us learn. It's really amazing as to what I might do in the future if I come across this same kind of layer combination. And that upper right-hand corner seems to be the trickiest one for me. I don't know why. I was just trying to get the eye to come back down. I wanted it to be more different. So it was black. I covered it with a piece of yellow ochre collage, but that was transparent. But I still might then add a black line on the outer edge of the upper right-hand corner to draw or redo the number 1 on top. So I bring in my numbers here, love my numbers, and I love this font and the size of them. So another one of my organic Stencil Girl stencils, 7 inches by 7 inches. You could just there's so many. They're uploading so many new wonderful stencils, but I've discovered that I'm going to start making my own, and that's going to be sort of just a little hint. That's sort of the things I'm working on right now, and really I can't wait to show you what I've been working on. So I'm liking that gray, and just now I really think it would have worked even better if it was, a lot lighter. Maybe not a lot lighter, but you see, this is this mixing thing. I'm really enjoying mixing. I figured I'd start mixing different values, and that's a really good place to start with black and white. Not buying gray anymore, but there's some lovely grays out there, and I do buy them. And sometimes they're more transparent, which is great for me in my layering process, as you well know. So I thought, okay, so I'm just playing with the stencils that I have at hand and just using them as, of course, pattern, and mostly pattern and shape. So a pattern would be repeated shapes, repeated lines, and then you can have this repetition with variety. So liking the horizontal gray variety going in the lower half. I like that it's in the lower half, not covering those circles. And then I didn't know what to do, so I just grabbed some gray, and I knew I needed some quiet space. Could have grabbed more white, even black, but I didn't want to put so much black on there. That might have worked, but anyway, it turns out in the next layers, that's the direction I choose to go. So, hang in there to the end. So, what colors are you mixing right now? What colors give you trouble? And is color, the whole thing quite overwhelming? Trying to get that playing with color on our pages, having too much. One solution is to minimize your color palette. Keep it really simple so you can focus on 1, 2, 3 colors with black and white at a time, but no more. And so just drawing those marks up. And, I'm not really worried about these marks. I like that they're vertical and not horizontal. I like how they're going to make some shapes. And now I'm thinking I would have joined those marks together. And, so I end up doing that with black in the upper left-hand corner. Now, in hindsight, I believe, this is really interesting, the black and white rhombus and all of that, but those organic variety of, what are they? They're not squares, they're rectangles, I think might have worked better. So I'm going to do another page, black and white in the same book here, start at the same, and use I think, similar combinations of stencils, but the featured one, instead of the checkerboard or the rhombus, I'm going to use those and just see the different effect with the same stencils that are there. So, and numbers. I just want to really see and see if I can get closer to that feeling. So I chose to put the white rather than the black on top of the dark so I can have another layer, and it pushes back. Every layer you put on pushes back the previous layer. So now I felt, okay, I've got enough layers on here. Now is a time for this wonderful deli paper collage piece. And I will be showing you how I make a whole new set of collage papers with the intention of this type of feeling that I'm looking for. These are, oh yeah, see, it just fits right in there, right? If the 3-second rule. And I'm using the more fluid gloss medium versus the heavy gloss gel. Liking those gray marks there because of the flow of them, right? I love that stencil. Now I think I could make my own. I'm going to experiment with different materials, compare them, and show you, different effects and what works, what doesn't work, what's great, just stuff that you already have. Okay, so I'm liking this. This is this piece of collage, as I was saying, is a deli paper with a gel plate. I'm really liking creating my collage with the jelly plate. So, noticing I didn't have that much contrast or solids, like a nice solid shape, so that upper left-hand corner just had to be black. And right at this moment, I really got into how the edge of the color shaper moves the paint. And you can create such wonderful, I'm just going to experiment with black, different shapes, different colors of paint on just any old copy paper. And I had someone ask me, yes, I use copy paper, newsprint paper, laser paper, tissue paper, tracing paper, deli paper. And next I bought 2 pads of palette paper. So we'll be adding those to the repertoire of papers that we're going to experiment with and see what else I can find. Okay, liking this. Now, mind you, the challenge would have really been to keep it just black and white and see if I could continue to create different values. I think that would be an awesome challenge. I think I'm going to do that for the next one. Yes, if you were in the Facebook group and you catch this video, which I'm sure you're going to do, I think for today, Studio Sunday, we are going to work with some black and white. So, love the little dots, and I know that there wasn't any, and that would have been a good difference, but trying to find the right spot for them, and right there. Just because the zigzag lines are dark enough, you can see them underneath, and it really plays a really interesting effect with the transparency of the paper. Now, the vertical rhombuses are pretty cool, but if you didn't notice, your eye is going up and off the page. Gone. There's nothing leading the eye too much from the left-hand dark square or rectangle over to the right. So I noticed that later on. But right now I'm putting in my numbers. And instead of going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I could have done, and you can, like say if you want to change your mind, I put them on the right just because I wanted to change it up. But looking at it now, I think putting the 0 and the 1 above the 2 and 3 would have been more in line with the left-hand side, as you can see, or will see when you get to the end of this video. So then the 4, 5 could have been more over to the right if I wanted that, that diagonal kind of thing going on. So it's amazing what you can learn. Placement, and that is everything to do with composition. But I love how they show up on top of all those other layers, because the layers are so loose and different things going on, and these are so crisp and clear. Such a nice difference. Yes, I was digging through the newspapers and these two words popped up. I know they're not ashes scattered. The world has been really, really crazy lately, and I don't know. This just popped up, and I wasn't going to see, you can see me there. I thought, nope, it's got to go. It's got to go down. And so I slammed it down. And of course, I'm going to just muffle it up a little bit. Just a little. And the little metal palette knife here for my art journaling, and also my canvases, is amazing because it has such a sharp edge. It's interesting how our world does affect our art and how our art affects our world. Our art is a mirror, and we can use our art to go inside and use it as a muse, or we're using our art and creativity. We're just vessels as to what's coming in through the universe. There's so much going on when we create. And this piece of paper, I made a bunch, is some really thick crafting paper, almost like cardboard. I painted it black, and then I just sort of squeezed out very thin white, just randomly. I didn't roll it with the brayer, so it dried very thick, thick white lines on top of the black. And so I thought, well, this really needs to go here amongst this area. And what I end up doing is filling in the surrounding area of it in black, just to, I think it creates more of a vertical, but yet I'm just looking at it now while I'm talking to you here. It's more of a grid. It could be in thirds, and it could be in quadrants. What is? So now I've got to figure this out. Nope, quadrants. But it's amazing how the composition is pretty interesting. Oh, so then I'm playing with curvilinear, or the circle. So I have a circle in the upper left in that form, and then I have another one in just like drawing, which is the same thing, but done in a different way. And what I will do, or could have done, is come down under the one with my, how I have my circles stacked usually vertically. So drawing that line, drawing the eye down instead of the broken vertical black lines that I like to use. So there's so many possibilities here. So noticing that, and I did notice at the end that my page went past the tape, and I thought that was still page, which is sort of cool. So it did get cropped. So I needed another row of those, but just a little more faded, just to come up along the line where the number 4 and number 5, that and the text is in that lower, the bottom area, just to anchor it down a bit. So here I am adding some more of that black and picking up that vertical line, really liking that. And you'll see how I use glazing. I add a little water to the black, and I just decide to push back some of the rhombus shapes with black, and then I push back the vertical ones with white, just because it's a white background where they are. And so I thought, well, that might, and I could have brought the black in the upper left-hand corner over more, right to the edge. And yeah, I might experiment with that. I just might hold a piece of black collage here and there and just see how the feeling goes. See if it feels right. So let's see. So I decide to bring in a little bit more of the Naples with the neutral here, but just a little bit. And that helps the eye go across, actually, on the top section at least. Putting a little down below. And it's in different values, very light, very strong. So I'm liking the play of values with this page. And the many layers. I really enjoyed that. The total time for this page was, I do believe, my pages don't go over an hour. It was about 50 minutes. And then finishing up with some Posca marker lines. So since there's enough vertical there, I wanted the eye to just sort of hang on there, adding a few dots, bringing the eye, helping the eye come down to that lower right-hand side. And I thought, why not? It's very subtle. I didn't go crazy with the dots here, thank goodness. Sometimes they're just perfect, and sometimes I can overdo it, as you know. Now, I don't know about those black dots in the white section. I might push those back a little too, so they're just not sort of in your face. It's so interesting how these things can turn out. Just wanting more line, and these are the lines I'm referring to. I could have gone with some vertical circles all the way down. I don't know if that would have been too busy or less busy. And the shapes here, I didn't realize, are on the tape. So they get cropped off, which make them really interesting, actually. Yeah, and you can't really see those marks too much. So I might just give that space a little more quiet, cover them back up with some black. And I love, see, you can just sort of change things, alter things. And it's always usually about value. altering the value in an area to create subtlety, or, of course, contrast if you need it, guiding the eye, making it stronger, making it less quiet versus busy. So there we are, at the end of this page, and really enjoying this session today. Oh yes, so that was bugging me. And then of course that covers everything. So then I just dab it a little bit with some paper, some lifting, and just a little bit more. So I wanted it more of a rectilinear shape. And notice I finally noticed that. So making the black stand out a little less, pushing it into that white background. And now, you see, you can just feel it. The energy changes. Now the top portion needs a little bit of horizontal or something to guide the eye across. So this was my solution. I might choose a different solution next time, but it definitely helps. So now the big reveal, removal of the tape. And some of that tape just loves to stay on the edge. So I hope you enjoyed this page, mixed media with multiple black and white layers, and I hope you give it a try. Stay tuned every Sunday. I have a new video at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And I enjoyed this and learned a lot from this particular page. So, happy creating, and I will see you in the next video.